Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Ultimate. Okay, crap. Whew, felt it coming. I felt it coming. And I still tried to do it anyway. Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Master64, and today I would like to announce to you all my little video project for 2025. Now, if you've seen, if you've been on the channel before, you probably saw my little Pokedex series that I've published on here. And I stated in the first video that I was my main inspiration for doing that was from a couple of pieces of media that I watched. There was the Pokemon Origins anime that was released, where it detailed the adventure of Red and how he was more focused on completing the Pokedex rather than just going to the Indigo League and becoming the champion. Um, and just the the way the Pokemon Company told the story of Red, with the sort of modern, at least at the time modern, with like the modern releases of the Pokemon series and how they integrated uh, Mewtwo and Giovanni, and all that. I couldn't help but uh, feel like I wanted to do that as well. Another series that I was actually that inspired me to work on something like this. Granted, they are controversial. Um, was the Completionist, and how he and Alex both participated in completing the Pokedexes for not only Fire Red and Leaf Green, but also the Hoenn games and Scarlet and Violet. Um, and it was something that I thought about doing for a long time now, ever since I had Pokemon Platinum, the DS. It was something that I wanted to do for a while, just as a sense of completion. But I thought to myself, with how much work I've put into completing the Kanto decks, like 2 times basically, the first one being with Pokemon Yellow, that took me 33 hours to beat, I figured, why not do the same for all of them? If you've been on the channel, you probably saw me do the Mount Battle 100 Trainer Challenge, as well as the clip that I uploaded where I managed to catch Metagross with just one Pokeball. And those weren't just random things I decided to do. I didn't just I'm not running my YouTube where I play a game and I just record myself playing them with commentary on the side. No. I played those games for a reason. Well, I played Coliseum for a reason. And I'm actually playing those games for this video project because they're integral to what I've got to do. My project for 2025 is the completion of the Pokedex in every region, from Kanto to Paldea, or whatever current region Nintendo released. There's no way of telling, really. But not only that, but my Pokemon team from each region will also be going to each and every different region. So the current team that I have in Pokemon Fire Red, my Bulbasaur, my Dragonite. Actually, I should probably use their nicknames, like Venus, Might Knight, Howlet, Marrow, Spooner, and Revali. They're gonna be. I'm gonna try to get them into the Hall of Fame for the Johto region, the Hoenn region, the uh, the Sinnoh region, the Unova region, all of them. And I'll also be bringing my other Pokemon teams along the way. Is, you know, just to, what's the point in just having some of these Pokemon with me along the way if they don't also get their time as a Hall of Fame? Well, as Hall of Famers. So it's not just like you know, like a copy paste of Pokemon of like other videos like this, like the completionist has done, or even another channel like Johnstone has done. Um, Instead, it's mainly to showcase not only my personal experience with doing this, but it's also showing just the kind of just the kind of things that Nintendo had in mind when they released Generation 3 and how it goes all the way up to the Paldea region. Now, it's not really anything surprising. Everyone knows that uh, you can bring Pokemon from previous generations to the current one. Uh, but I'd love for there to be the adventure of just the a regular everyday trainer from Pallet Town going all the way to, you know, the Paldea region, going uh going into the deepest waters of the Hoenn region, all the way to the highest point in the Sinnoh region. It's it's like the first episode of Pokemon Generations, another little side series that Nintendo has done where, it just tells different stories from the games. And the first episode was literally Red going from the Kanto region with his Pikachu going to Johto, then Hoenn and Sinnoh and all of that. And I'd like to do that. I'd like to do the same thing and just give my personal experience, my thoughts on the games, and just how much time and effort goes into doing this. Uh, Yeah. And like I've mentioned, other YouTubers have done this before, like John Stone. I actually watched one of his videos where he completed the Pokedex and the National Dex for Pokemon Crystal. And believe me, it took him a long time. He even got lucky with like two or three shinies. Ah. um But like I said, it's not going to be a copy paste of that video. It's going to be my own personal experience with doing this. Any shinies that I may come across, the kind of crazy catches that I'll pull off, like with the Metagross capture. I'm still, even if his catch rate was turns out to be like a 15. All right, um, it's still crazy that I got the first turn catch. But so yeah, but with a video project like this, I probably best that I should establish the rules for this. So rule number one: the main focus of the series is to complete the regional Pokedexes of the game, not the national dex. It's uh, and it's primarily because if you think about it, uh, starting with Generation 3, if you caught all the Pokemon in Kanto, and then you go to Hoenn and you catch all the Pokemon in the Hoenn region, and if you're able to, fill in the gap with uh, the Johto Pokemon, then you could just trade the Pokemon over and complete the national dex just like that. It's honestly not that difficult to do. Um, well, I say, granted, I currently have 100 hours logged into Fire Red to try and complete it. But you know, if I already have the Kanto region completed with a living dex and everything, then I can simply just trade those Pokemon over into the other series, into the other games, and they'll be registered to the Pokedex, and then there's the National Dex. So while it may be off screen, along the way I will be completing the National Dex, and I'm going to be doing my best to do a living dex, which there's a difference between like how the regular dex is structured and what a living dex is. But that's not really the main point of this. Rule number 2. I will be completing the Pokedex as legitimately as possible. No PK hex, no glitches, no cartridge injecting of any kind, just the authentic way that Nintendo intended. Of course, there are going to be some exclusions. My hands may be tied in how I try to get all the Pokemon. Granted, it's not required to catch every single Pokemon, just like how you don't really, you're still able to get the certificate even if you don't have mythical Pokemon like Mew or Deoxys or Jirachi or Celebi. It's just, uh, you know, it's not required, but for the purposes of the series, I'd like to try and get all of them as best as I can. Um, and as you likely have noted in the first series I did, I sent my copy of Fire Red over to a guy on eBay who does these distribution events because they are timed events that Nintendo no longer does anymore. And it's not like it's like a heartless thing they did. The Generation 3 and Generation 4, they are like all of those events happen like I'd say like before 2015, 2010 maybe, you know, 2009. Anyways, so I'll be doing the best I can to catch them as legitimately as possible, using certain um certain strategies and certain features of the game that you're able to pull off, like how you can force an Electabuzz to appear in the power plant in Fire Red. Just have a Pokemon the same level as the Electabuzz, use a Max Repel and a Pokemon with a Sweet Scent, or just run around in the power plant. Anyways, so while other while other YouTubers may do this kind of thing, um, which is very reasonable, I want to try and do it very authentically, which is, where Pokemon Coliseum comes into play with having to get Ho-Oh, Metagross, Tyranitar, and other Johto, Hoenn Pokemon that you can't get anymore. Rule number 3, spin-offs will not be added to the series unless it's integral to completing the Pokedex. Like I mentioned before, Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD are important spin-offs because they help complete the Pokedex. There are Pokemon in those games that you can't... It makes it easier to actually complete the Pokedex. I'll just go ahead and allude to this now. The Johto Dex, it may take like a long time to find every Pokemon in the Johto Dex, between Fire Red, Leaf Green, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. However, Pokemon Coliseum tackles with Coliseum, Fire Red, and Leaf Green, you can get like 95% of the Johto Dex, even with the event Pokemon like Celebi in Japan. So, while I still will have to go to Hoenn to complete the Dex, having a game like Pokemon Coliseum really helps it out. And of course, there's XD, what with the, box art legendary on there that you can't get aside from events. Now there may be some side videos I'll do, maybe as like filler content in between, like Pokemon Legends Arceus. That game is primarily focused not only on the story but also completing the Pokedex, and you're able to basically get every Pokemon. Uh, so while it's not integral, I might just do that, for entertainment's sake. I mean, believe me, it took a long time for me to get for me to catch the Unova roaming legendaries. It was just insane. And finally, rule number 4: not every mainline Pokemon game will be added. Games like Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, Brilliant Diamond, and Shining Pearl, while they are mainline series Pokemon that are technically integral to completing the Pokedex, they're really they're so far into they're very modern releases of the game. So it wouldn't make sense for me to play like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire and then trade between uh regular Diamond Pearl or Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Same with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Yeah, it is a Sinnoh game that is been re-released for modern audiences, but it doesn't really help in completing the national decks or anything like that. Sure, I can take those Pokemon and bring them to Paldea, but again, I'm going from Generation 1 to Generation 9, and going, like, just treading through Hoenn and Sinnoh again for, like, more times than I need to just doesn't really seem necessary. Um, Now, I am still a bit, uh, I'm still caught on, uh, sequels like Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. It's integral to completing the Pokedex, but I need Black and White, and there's also Black 2 and White 2 that have Pokemon in those games that you can't get in Pokemon Black and White. So, I'm so caught on that. I don't know what I'm going to do there or not. It's just, I don't know. Yeah. So, with that said, the current region that I'm currently focused on completing right now is the is Generation 2. Every Pokemon in the Johto region being caught and registered to the Pokedex, and the games that I'll be playing are Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Whichever of the two games are gonna have the full national dex save, I'm probably leaning towards Soul Silver because my copy of Heart Gold, the game is freezing, and it might be because of how the cartridge is not really taking, well, it's still in good shape and I can still play the game, but you know, the possibility of like it glitching or it freezing in integral moments, it's probably best I go with a copy that won't do that. So, the save will most likely be on Soul Silver. And I kind of prefer that because, you know, Lugia is my favorite Pokemon legendary of the Generation 2. Now, of course, not only does this series take a lot of time and effort, but there's also the key detail of money. Pokemon games like Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD, they're not exactly cheap. Case in point, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness goes for almost $200 on the market. Like, it's crazy. Not to mention the fact that I'm wanting to, record these games as, I'm completing them, have a complete VOD of how I've done it, how I've gone through the process of completing them, and just trying to log all the time on camera, just as hard proof of what I've done. Aside from doing aside from the diplomas and such. Now, now I'm not solely relying on this. I do work a job, so I do earn money. So it's not that I'm dirt broke and playing the beggar. It's just an optional thing if you want to and are able to. I'm not really gonna. I can't really force you guys, and I'm not really gonna pressure any of you to support. But if you want to support the series, or if you just want to support me in general, I have a Ko-fi page going on right now. The link is in the description. You can either just leave a tone, leave a. I'm trying to say leave a tip, but I'm also saying donating. If you want to leave a tip, you can leave it anywhere between however high you want to any as low as $1. So you're not really locked into a monthly subscription like when I was running a Patreon. However, if you want to continuously support the series and however much money you want to support, there is a monthly membership option that you guys can choose if you want to. If you become a monthly member, you will get the reward of any Pokemon from the series that I'm working on. Not only will I catch those Pokemon, There'll also be, I'll either nickname it onto whatever screen name you give me, or whatever nickname that you guys would like to nickname the Pokemon, and they will also be coming along for the journey. So not only will it be, all the Pokemon that I caught and the Pokemon on my team that's going from region to region, but it'll also be Pokemon from these regions going all the way up to the modern games. So it'll be like you guys are also there along for the ride as well. Uh, and they're going to be featured as thanks for the support, or heck, you know what? Maybe I could utilize one of those Pokemon for either catching legendaries, beating gym leaders, or maybe tackling the Elite Four. Who knows? Um, there is currently a goal on the Ko-Fi page where if we raise enough money, I will be sending a 3DS over for it to get modded. That way, I can actually you know, capture the video from the DS instead of utilizing emulators. And not only will this go to this series in particular, but it could also go to future games on the DS that I might want to show you guys. Any games I have, like the Pokemon Ranger series, which may or may not be included in this series. Sonic Rush, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, any DS or 3DS games that I have, with your support, they can also become, I'll also be able to record and live stream games for you guys as well. Mainly because the eShop is closed on the Wii U, and I've only got a select handful of DS games as it is. So if you want to and are able to, please consider supporting me down on my Ko-Fi page. And yeah, this is where I struggle to figure out how to end this video. So with all of that, I hope you guys look forward to this series. 2025 is starting, and granted that I'm 11 days into the first month, um, I want to try and be more active on YouTube. I want to be more active online. I want to, you know, uh, play more games, hang out with you guys, and not only will streams help that, but I think a video project would probably be a good way of doing that. Um, so yeah, subscribe if you want to, like the video, share this around so everyone else can learn about this series. And also, please consider, and of course, uh, yeah. I'm not gonna pressure you guys to support me on Ko-Fi, but the Ko-Fi page is in the link in the description. Oh man. But yeah, so look forward to that, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.